South Shore real estate market update, complete with tips for home buyers. If you stick around, we're gonna go through 5 very relevant pieces of advice I have for buyers in our market today. Quickly through the intro, I'm Craig Power with Power Realty Advisors, serving Greater Boston and the South Shore. This is all through the lens of the South Shore market for single family homes. But if you have any interest at all in real estate around Boston, Eastern Massachusetts, whatever, I think you'll benefit from this. Recording this in June of 2022, where the talk is all about rising interest rates. So people are seeing their buying power go down, basically in real time. They're getting charged more interest. It's happened at a record pace over the last few months. It costs people more to borrow money. So that's what everyone's talking about nationally in the housing market. Even this past week, just since Friday, rates shot up again pretty dramatically. We are still in this sort of interest rate shock stage in housing. The market's getting a little quieter. Not everyone has gotten the message. You may have people who, for example, maybe they last got pre-approved 4 months ago. They might be shopping, not even realizing their payment just jumped hundreds of dollars a month for the same purchase price. Or I've heard different stories of, and listen to this, unicorn offers, right? So what's a unicorn offer? Well, it's people who are so used to competition, coming from the hottest housing market ever, they come in way over asking, they aggressively waive contingencies, and guess what? They were the only offer. They were bidding against themselves the whole time. That's where we are. We're leaning into the turn a little bit. So a couple fundamental things for you to understand as a buyer or as a seller, at least how I see the market. No market crash coming, right? I say it in every video for the last 2 years. This is not 2008. It's harder to get a loan today. Buyers of the last few years are much more qualified, but we should thankfully see, we might already be seeing home price appreciation slowing down. That's a good thing. A major softening of the market. Interest rates are really gonna be the fulcrum on which this market turns and seesaws. So, ultimately, I sort of feel like any step toward a more even market is great. I see it as good news for buyers. I see it also as good news for sellers who would need to buy another home, as long as they can live with, of course, the higher interest rate for now. Let's get into our 5 tips for South Shore house hunters today, or almost any Massachusetts home buyers today. And I have to say, taking 5 seconds, if you don't have a buyer's agent, if your buyer's agent doesn't have this grasp on the market, you're at a disadvantage, right? My contact info obviously is listed all over this video. Plainly, this is marketing for my business, so I genuinely would love to hear from any viewers. Okay, we'll get into it. First tip. First one is very basic with what we've already been talking about. Tip number 1 is adapt to a changing market. The market is changing fast enough that when an agent puts a new listing up now, they are less sure about what they're getting. So you may not need to come in way over the top, even if you are conditioned to think that's what it takes. This might seem like real estate agent spin. I really don't see it that way. Buyers, I am telling you, you wanted the competition to go away, you're getting your wish. There are informal ways to feel things out on price. It's not just about looking for comps. If there's an open house, how much action are they getting? How much foot traffic? Maybe Zillow saves can show you a certain level of interest, I guess. Talk to the agent. How confident are they? The last couple years, famously, the listing agent doesn't even care who you are. They don't have time for you. This dynamic will change. By the end of this summer, you'll be going to open houses, and the same agents that ignored you before, they'll be chatting you up, walking you around the place. Really, it's gonna be funny. Tip number 2, we're getting into more specific strategy here. I want you to look at listings between 6 and 30 days on market, especially this summer amid the changes. Let me explain. Everyone is so pre-programmed now to only look at new listings. In February of this year, if a house hit the market and it was on for 10 days, it had to be absurdly overpriced, or it was borderline unlivable, or it was both. Now it's different. Now inventory is increasing, buyers are giving up, dropping out of the market, and anything 6+ days on market is not getting the same eyeballs. Which brings me to my 3rd tip. Tip number 3, look for price drops and back on markets, right? Listings that are forced to drop the price, and especially those that come back on market when a deal falls through. One of my favorite quick lines in The Big Short, I feel like I quote it all the time, Ryan Gosling's given his whole presentation to Steve Carell, and he says, no one is paying attention. No one is paying attention. Now that's not exactly the case here, but I would say dramatically fewer people are paying attention to back on market listings. Let me give you a few scenarios. So a buyer gets an offer accepted at the top of what they can afford, and they're thrilled and they celebrate all week before doing a loan application. Then interest rates jump 50 basis points before they lock their rate. Boom, dead deal, back on market. They can no longer afford their house, no fault of the house, no fault of the seller. How about a buyer just gets cold feet, right? Gets an offer accepted Sunday and Monday morning, they're on Market Watch, they're reading an article about the end of the world, the end of capitalism. Boom, dead deal. No fault of the house, no fault of the seller. On top of that, if we shift toward a more even market, guess what? Home inspections will be a thing again. Hooray! More listings back on market, and you'll at least get a chance to do your own due diligence there. All this is to say, by looking at listings 6+ days on market, keeping an eye out for price drops and back on market tags, just leave no stone unturned. Go see these places in person. In theory, the longer a listing stays on the market without an offer, the more humbled the seller should be. So you have opportunities for more one-on-one negotiation. Maybe you can get them to budge a little bit, especially if you're doing like midweek showings, beat the weekend crowd to an offer. Take advantage of that one-on-one negotiation dynamic while the seller has less leverage. Tip number 4, don't burn yourself out. Easier said than done. I know it's an emotional journey. I have awesome clients who have been looking literally for years. This is the summer market update. So let's talk about the seasonal effect. In the summer, you have weddings, barbecues, boat days, beach days. You have stuff going on. It's gonna make you wanna tune out, especially late summer, getting ready for the school year, getting those last summer days in. Buyer fatigue, right? Well, when you get buyer fatigue, that's when the other buyers probably get some buyer fatigue too. Please don't kill yourself refreshing Zillow and trying to manifest a new listing into existence. You have to take breaks, I get it, but don't say, hey, it's summer, permission to slack off, I'll come back to the search in 3 months, because history tells us you'll most likely just be 3 months behind the people who stuck with the program and had their eventual success. As a buyer, you're up against all the other same buyers, right? Buyer pool hasn't really changed. You see your rates going up, sure, but so are theirs, right? So, other than the cap on your buying power or the cap on what you feel comfortable spending, other than those figures changing, you're up against the same buyers. Some of them are giving up. And obviously, if we woke up tomorrow and rates went to 0, it would be 25 offers on every house again. So ask yourself, be honest with yourself, right? When are the conditions gonna be right for you? And I guess that's a decent segue into tip number 5. Tip number 5 is when the narrative changes, it might be a good time to tune back in. This is more of a guess or a prediction, so I want you to take it with a grain of salt. Again, not everyone has gotten the message with rates. A lot of people are still ready to spend today. But when the water cooler talk changes to, whoa, house prices have finally stopped shooting up. My buddy made an offer 15, 20K below the list price and he got it. You're in for a lot of articles explaining why the world is gonna end, and they're all gonna cite different reasons. Don't buy the fear, right? When that conversation changes, I think that's gonna be a good time to at least tune in and get more active as a buyer. Consumer sentiment is actually a really powerful thing in economics. You might hear the expression long tail. The idea is it takes 30, 60 days for the market to catch up with changes like we're seeing. So I think it's another month from here before the consumer sentiment takes hold that, oh man, these rates have crushed everybody's buying power and buyers are leaving the market. I bet the story by late July is buyers are getting lower offers accepted. Buyers are making demands again, like seller credits. It's more of a prediction, but if anything, when the narrative changes, I think it's a good time to ramp up your search. Everyone's situation is different. We still want you to buy within your means, and especially if you're buying for the long term, you're insulating yourself from risk, right? Real estate, we know over the long term will appreciate in value over the long term. Ultimately, I'm saying I don't think rates should make you abandon your home buying plans. I fundamentally don't see why buying 6 months, 1 year, 2 years from now would be better than buying now. I don't see it. Wrapping up our summer market update, a couple other things you're gonna see quickly that I would be conservative about. I would just be wary about. Adjustable rate mortgages. People are gonna get more creative with this. I'm not saying they are the enemy, but make sure you understand what you're getting. And also, if anyone tells you you can always refinance, we don't know when rates are going back down to where they were. We don't know how long this cycle is gonna last. You certainly can't buy with the intent to refinance 6 to 12 months from now. And even longer, don't bank on that. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna keep on these periodic market updates. I really hope this is helpful in some way. I hope somebody out there watches this and sneaks a quick accepted offer on a great house that comes back on market. If that happens, I consider this video a huge success. I love to hear from any of our clients or viewers. Please, get in touch. Contact me at craig@powerrealtyboston.com. Check out our website at the link below. Thanks again for watching.